Good afternoon, my dear students. Today's in my lecture, I am going to explain in detail about gel chromatography. Before entering into today's concept, let me give the brief outline about gel chromatography and what are the contents we have in our today's concept we will see now. So I am going to explain what is the general introduction of gel chromatography. Then what is the principle of separation in gel chromatography? Then what is the theory behind in gel chromatography? Then what are the components involved in gel chromatography? Here GPC means the other synonym for gel chromatography. So simply we can call as gel permeation chromatography also. Then what are the experimental setup for gel chromatography? How to separate, that separation process also we will discuss. Then advantages, disadvantages of gel chromatography we will see. Finally, applications of gel chromatography. So these are the outline parameter what we are going to see in my today's lecture. Introduction. Gel chromatography is also called as gel permeation chromatography, or we can call as size exclusion chromatography, or we can call as gel filtration or moving molecular sieve chromatography also. Okay, so we have synonyms for gel chromatography. We can call either gel permeation chromatography or size exclusion chromatography or gel filtration chromatography we can call. Sometimes we used to call molecular sieve chromatography also. All are same. Now, what is the exact definition of gel permeation chromatography or gel chromatography means? This is the separation technique through which we are going to separate components. It may be large molecular size containing components or small size containing molecular component also, no problem. So here we are going to separate the mixture of components based upon their molecular weight or molecular size. Okay, so this is the exact definition of gel chromatography or gel permeation chromatography. So it is the separation technique through which we are going to separate mixture of components based on their molecular weight or molecular size. Normally gel chromatography we are going to use for the effective separation and isolation of biomacromolecular compounds. What is the mean by macromolecular? Macro means big in size. Okay. For the effective separation and isolation of biomacromolecular substance, we are going to prefer gel permeation chromatography or gel chromatography. Next, moving to the next slide. The brief background of gel chromatography we will see now. During the period of 1951 to 1955, gel chromatography or size exclusion chromatography concept was recognized. Okay, this gel chromatography or gel permeation chromatography or size exclusion chromatography, three are same, isn't it? Now this size exclusion chromatography concept first recognized in between the period of 1951 to 1955. After that, Jim Waters named scientist, he framed a special equipment for this purpose in the year of 1963. In the year of 1963, Jim Waters named scientist, he built a commercial equipment for our size exclusion chromatography or gel permeation chromatography. Followed by this, in the year of 1979, Yu and Kirkland Bly named three scientists, they given a proper definitive test procedure, okay, how to separate in gel chromatography or gel permission chromatography in the year of 1979. In 1979, you, Kirkland and Bly, what they given? They given a definite test procedure. I mean how to separate that gel chromatography or size restitution chromatography, how to perform that entire procedure they given. They achieved a success also. Okay. So finally they published the document in the year of 2009. Okay, this is the brief background about our gel chromatography or size exclusion chromatography. Then moving to the next slide, principle of separation. How the separation is going to happen in gel chromatography or gel permission chromatography, we will see now. So, as I told in definition, here we are going to separate our compounds or molecule based on their molecular size, isn't it? So, based upon the molecular size, we are going to separate our components. Okay. So, for this purpose, what we need? We need column. So, you can see in the diagram, this is column. Okay. So, we need column for this purpose. So, inside the column, what we are filling? We are filling microporous packing material, which is called as gel. Okay. So, this is column, you can see. Inside the column, this round spherical shaped particles are there, no? That is called as microporous packing material. I mean, which is gel. We are packing inside the column. Okay. So, this entire microporous packing material, so we are going to fill along with the solvent or mobile phase. Okay. What you have to do? You will take your stationary phase or gel, you mix with your mobile phase, that entire slurry you pour inside the column. That's what they are saying. Stationary phase, which is your gel, you are mixing or filling with solvent, okay, which is your mobile phase. So, these two we are going to fill inside your column. Okay. So, now your column is ready. Now, what we have to do? We are going to pass your sample through the column. Okay. I mean, directly you should not inject your sample. So, you take your sample, you dissolve in a mobile phase or solvent. That mobile phase you pour upon the surface of your column. So, sample you are dissolving in mobile phase or suitable solvent, that one you are pouring upon the surface of your column. Now, separation will happen. How the separation will happen? You see now, if you are observing your gel, as I told, gel is microporous packing material, no? You see, this is our gel particles. I am taking one spherical particle, I am representing here. Okay. So, this gel inside it is having pores. Okay, it is having pores. I told we are taking sample. Okay, based upon the size of sample or molecular size of sample, we are separating, isn't it? Now, you see, you consider in this diagram we have two types of particles. So, one is large particles which I represented with red color. Then small size particles which are there in blue color. Here you can see small dots. So, you can see here, this is my sample mixture. My sample mixture is having large size particle which I indicated with red color. Then small size particles which I indicated with green color. Now, this entire sample mixture, what I did? I dissolve in mobile phase. Then I am loading on the surface of column. Now, listen. Here, if you are observing this column, small size particles are there, no? I mean green color particles. So, these small size particles are going to pass through the pore. I mean they are going to diffuse or transfuse through the pores. Though it is transfusing through the pores, it will take a long time for elution. Which particle? Small size particle. But large size particles we have no. Large size particles, they won't diffuse or they won't transfuse through the pores. Instead of transfusing through the pores, in between the stationary phase, you can see here gaps are there, no? Okay. So, through the gaps, so these large particles are going to escape. That's why large particles are going to elute first. So, you can see A diagram, both sample mixture I am mixing along with mobile phase, I added. Okay. So, in B diagram, what happened? Small size particles, they are retaining upside, but downside, large size particles are coming. Okay. So why large size particles are coming first? Because large size particles are escaping through the space in between the gel. So that space is called as void space or void volume. So void volume or void space is nothing but this is our stationary phase particles. In between the stationary phase particle gap is there, no? So in this gap only mobile phase will be occupied. Now through this gap large size particles are going to come first. So these spaces are called as void spaces or void volume. But small size particle, what they will do? Inside your polymer or gel, pores will be there, no small pores. Through the pores, small particles are going to diffuse or transfuse. That's why small particles will take long time. You can clearly observe in the diagram. Okay, so I will show clearly in the diagram you see here. So A, sample mixture. Okay, so sample mixture I introduced here. Okay, this is the sample mixture I introduced. So here you can see porous packing material. Okay, this is entire porous packing material. In between the porous packing material, so these are pores. You can see here. These are called as pores. So through the pores, what will happen? Small size particles are going to pass. That's why they will take long time. Okay, you see small size particle they are passing through the pore. Okay, so that's why here it is late, it is eluting. Here you see large size particles, what I told, between your stationary phase gap will be there, no? Through this gap they will escape. Same thing here it is happening. Large size particles are escaping through the gap. That's why first who is going to elute? Large size particles are going to elute first. Then small size particles are going to elute late. Like this we can achieve the separation. Okay, finally you see detector is detecting. Okay, large size particle peak, small size particle, like that. So like this we are going to do the separation in case of our gel permission chromatography or gel chromatography. Is it clear now? So how the principle of separation is going to happen? First we are going to take a column. Column is made up of either with glass or stainless steel. Inside the column what we are going to do? We are going to fill inside the column adsorbent or stationary phase. What is that stationary phase? Microporous packing material. This is we are taking as a stationary phase. Okay, this stationary phase we are mixing with the mobile phase. So what is mobile phase? Solvent is the mobile phase. After mixing your stationary phase and mobile phase, you are filling your column. Okay, remember after filling your column, you have to saturate your column. How? Again you pour some amount of mobile phase upon the surface of your column. That mobile phase will occupy the gaps. I mean what? You see here gaps are there, no? White color gaps. This entire gaps will be occupied by your mobile phase. So that is called as saturation. Okay, first you mix your stationary phase with mobile phase. You fill your column. After filling also again we have to add some amount of mobile phase. That is for what? For saturation. I mean empty space will be there, no? That empty space between your gel will be occupied by mobile phase. Okay, so after that what will happen? Large particles they will escape through the void volume. Okay, I mean between the space which is there between your gel. That's why large particles are going to elute first. But small size particle they will pass through the pores. Okay, so this is your gel pore it is having. Through the pores your small size particles are going to pass. So that's why it will take late time. So lastly small particles are going to elute. So like that separation is going to happen in case of gel permeation chromatography. Okay, now moving to the next slide. What is the theory behind the separation? So introduction over, history over, principal part over. Now moving to the theory of separation in gel permeation chromatography or gel chromatography. Okay, so if you are observing your entire column, so it contain, you see this is your column. So what it contain? It contain swollen gel particles, swollen gel particles. Then what you are doing? Why these gel particles are swelling? Because already you taken your stationary phase, you mixed with mobile phase. When you are mixing, it will swell. That swollen one you are pouring or you are packing inside the column. After that again you have to saturate this entire column with mobile phase. Why? Because in between your mobile face we have some empty gaps, no? So these empty gaps and all we have to fill with your mobile face, that is called as saturation. Okay, now the total volume of your column, which is called as VT. VT means what? The total volume of column. Okay, so equals to sum of V naught plus Vi plus Vm. What is the mean by V naught? V naught means the volume of liquid outside the gel. You see, so this is gel. Okay, so this is gel, this is gel, this is one also gel, this one also gel. So now V naught means what I told? The volume of mobile face, you see. So this is entire the volume of mobile face. Where your mobile face is there? It is there in between the gaps of your stationary face, isn't it? So between the gel gap is there, no? So that gap was occupied by your mobile face. So this is called as void volume or dead volume V naught. Okay, so void volume or dead volume means what we have to say? In between your microporous gel, spaces will be there. That space was occupied with mobile face or liquid or solvent. That volume is called as void volume. Now, what is the mean by Vi? Vi means inside the gel. You see, this is your gel, no? So inside gel also it may contain some amount of what? Mobile face, because you are mixing your gel with mobile face, then only it is swelling. It is swelling means what it indicates? Already it absorbs some amount of liquid or solvent. So that solvent which is there inside your matrix, that is called as Vi. V naught means outside, Vi means inside your gel matrix. Now Vm means what? That is only the gel. Okay, so you are filling your stationary face, no? How much quantity of gel you taken? Okay, so that is volume of only gel. So that's why Vt, the total volume of column, is equals to sum of void volume plus volume of liquid inside the matrix plus the volume of gel matrix. Clear now? So this is the theory behind gel permission chromatography or gel chromatography. Now moving to the methodology or components involved in gel permission chromatography. Okay, so as we know that if you want to perform gel chromatography, so the first thing what you need stationary phase. The other name for stationary phase is gel. Then you need mobile phase. Nothing but solvent is required. Then you need column. Okay, so column also you need. It may be made up of either with glass or it may be made up of with stainless steel. Okay, then you need pump for introduction of your sample and mobile phase. You need pump. Then you need detector for detection purpose. So these are the instrumentation parts: stationary phase, mobile phase, column, pump, detector. Now we will see one by one in detail. So the other name for stationary phase is what? Gel, isn't it? So gel is semi-permeable in nature. At the same time, it is like a porous polymer gel bead. You can see in the diagram. So these are semi-permeable, porous polymer gel beads. Okay, so these are having different pore size. Okay, these gels are having different pore sizes. Now before we are going to select any gel, so it has to satisfy few properties. What are those properties? First one, it should be inert in nature. Second one, it should be mechanically stable. Then third one, it should contain ideal and homogeneous porous structure. Okay, so it should be inert in nature, mechanically stable, ideal and homogeneous means what? Same pore structure should be there. Then particle size should be uniform. Okay, then the pore size of your gel, it must be controlled. I mean, we have to control the pore size of gel. Okay, so if these things are satisfied, that gel is okay. It is the best one for our separation. Okay, that's why before we are going to select any gel, compulsory it has to satisfy these above 5 properties. Okay, now we will see what are the best example for gels. Okay, which one we are going to use. So you see, we are using Dextran gel. Okay, so we can use Dextran gel. So what is the mean by Safadex? Safadex is the trade name. That is a trade name for Dextran. So Dextran is available as Safadex trade name. So what is it? Dextran is, it is a natural gel. Okay, so which is having alpha 1,6 polymer of glucose. So Dextran is alpha 1,6 polymer of a glucose. Okay, which is a natural gel. Then second one is agarose gel. So agarose gel is available in the form of a Sapphirose brand name. Okay, so it is available as Sapphirose in market. Okay, what is agarose gel? It is 1,3 linked beta D galactose or 1,4 linked 3,6 N-hydro or L-galactose. It is also natural gel, I mean which is obtained from natural source. As you know that agarose is obtained from agar. Okay, then next one is acrylamide gel. So acrylamide gel means what? It is a polymerized form of acrylamide. So it is a synthetic gel. Okay, so acrylamide only the synthetic gel, remaining Dextran and agarose are natural gels. Got it? So now under methodology or our components, the first parameter we completed, which is stationary phase. So the other name for stationary phase is gel. So before we are going to select the gel, it has to satisfy a few parameters. One is chemically inert, mechanically stable, ideal and homogeneous pore structure, uniform particle size, then pore size must be controlled. Okay, so these properties it has to fulfill. So we seen some example for our gels: agarose gel, dextrose gel. Okay, so then acrylamide gel. Now moving to the next slide, mobile phase. So okay, stationary phase is ready. Now what we need? We need mobile phase or solvent. What for we need mobile phase or solvent? As I told, first you will take stationary phase or gel. You will mix with what? Your mobile phase. Then only it will give slurry. That slurry you are pouring inside the column. So for that purpose you need mobile phase. Second one, other than this what you required? Sample we are going to separate now by using gel chromatography. That sample you have to dissolve in mobile phase. Okay, directly sample you won't load in your surface of column. You have to dissolve your sample in mobile phase. Through that mobile phase we have to load on the surface of your column. So for these two purpose. Then third one is for elution of your compounds. Okay, elution means what? You will pour your sample along with mobile phase. Continuously how to pour mobile phase, then only elution will happen. Okay, so for these three reasons we need mobile phase. One is to prepare inside your column, gel will be there, no? So gel has to swell means compulsory you have to mix with mobile phase or solvent for that purpose. Second one, directly sample you won't add, you will dissolve your sample in a suitable mobile phase. Along with your mobile phase you will add on the surface of your column. For that purpose you need mobile phase. Then third one is for elution purpose you need mobile phase. You can see based upon the compound what we are going to separate, suitable solvent we are going to use. So synthetic enantiomers if you want to separate, toluene you will use as a solvent. Okay, like that if you want to separate epoxy resins, rubber compounds, tetrahydrofuran you will use as a solvent. If you want to separate polyolefins, you will use trichlorobenzene as a solvent. If you want to separate polyurethane, you will use dimethyl formamide as a solvent. Okay. Then if you want to separate protein and polysaccharide, water or buffers you will use as a solvent. Okay. So now what I am going to say is based upon the compounds or sample what you want to separate, suitable solvent we are going to use. Okay. So stationary phase is ready, mobile phase is ready. Now what we have to do? You have to fill inside the column, isn't it? So how we are going to fill inside the column? Now I will explain. So we have two methods. Okay, you consider this is the column. Inside the column I want to fill my gel, isn't it? Or stationary phase I have to fill. So for this we have two methods. So the first method is, first you take dry powder of your gel. So dry powder of gel you take, you add mobile phase. Okay, if you are adding mobile phase, what will happen? Your dry powder will absorb mobile phase, then you leave for some time, it will swell. It will swell. This swollen powder you fill inside the column, that is the first method. Dry powder, you add some amount of mobile phase, you wait for some time, it will swell, then that swollen gel you have to fill inside the column, that is the first method. Then what is the second method? In second method, you take your powder, I mean dry powder you take, then you add mobile phase solvent, you made in the form of a slurry. Okay, you have to make in the form of slurry, then heat at 100 degrees centigrade. At 100 degrees centigrade you heat it. When you are heating at 100 degrees centigrade, what will happen? It will become somewhat gummy, no? Then you cool it. After cooling, then you fill inside the column. This is the second technique. Dry powder, you add mobile phase made in the form of a slurry, then heat at 100 degrees centigrade, cool it. After cooling, then you fill inside the column. Okay, so that is called as second technique. So any one technique you can use for filling of your column. Always remember, column, either it is made up of with a stainless steel or glass column, inside the column you are doing this filling. Okay, you are mixing your stationary phase with mobile phase, you are filling. Now, okay, you filled your column with stationary phase or your gel. After that, what you have to do? You have to saturate it. You have to saturate it. So what is the mean by saturation? Saturation is nothing but, you see, this is the gel what you filled inside the column. So this is the gel what you filled inside the column. So after filling the gel inside the column, so you have to pour your mobile phase. If you are pouring your mobile phase, it will go and it will occupy the empty space which is there in between your gel. Okay, that is called as saturation. Okay, so it will go and it will occupy the empty space which is there in our column. So that is called as saturation. Got it? Okay, so now preparation of column also over. What are the different types of columns we have? Means we have analytical column, preparative column. So analytical column which are having length 7.5 to 8 millimeter. Then preparative column, length starts from 15, 20, 25 also is there. Diameter starts from 5 to up to 25 millimeter diameter also is there. Okay, so preparative columns are lengthy columns. Then what are the usual lengths commonly we are using in case of gel filtration chromatography? So columns which are having length 25, 30, 50 and 60 centimeters, we are going to prefer usually for analysis. Okay, then narrow bore columns also we can use, but name itself indicating narrow bore means what? Internal diameter will be very low, which is a 2 to 3 millimeter diameter. Okay, so now third parameter also over, moving to the fourth one, pump. So pump we are going to use for injecting your sample along with your mobile phase. Okay, so normally we are using syringe type of pumps or reciprocating type of pumps. Okay, so stationary phase you are filling inside the column, I mean gel you are filling inside the column. Okay, now what you are doing? Sample you have to dissolve in mobile phase. This entire one we have to pass through the pump. Okay, so normally syringe type of pump you will use or reciprocating type of pumps we are going to use. Always remember, constant flow rate we have to maintain for pump. Okay, so now your sample will pass through your column. As I told in principal part, first large size particles are going to elute first, because through the wide volume they will escape, but small size particle they will elute late because they have to transfuse or diffuse through the gel. So that's why small type particles they will take a long time for elution, but large type particles fastly they will elute. Okay, this separation and all will happen in column itself. Then detection. Okay, you collected fractions. After collection what we have to do? We have to detect it. So for detection purpose we have bulk property detectors. Okay, then solute property detectors, evaporative type of detectors. Okay, these are called as concentration sensitive detectors. Bulk property detectors, solute property detectors, evaporative type of detectors, these three are called as concentration sensitive detectors. Okay, the best example for bulk property detector is refractive index detectors. Then for solute property detector is UV detector. Then evaporative type of detector is evaporative light scattering detectors. So other than this, we have molar mass detector also. So under this we have light scattering detector, viscosity detector. So under light scattering detector again two types: low angle light scattering detector, multiple angling light scattering detector. Then under viscosity detector we have differential viscometers. Differential viscometers. So these are detectors what we are going to prefer in case of gel chromatography. Then, so you can see, so this is normally HPLC system. So here a solvent reservoir will be there. Okay, so solvent will be pumped through the pumps. Then injector will be there. You will inject your sample everything. So here column will be there. No, we are talking about gel filtration chromatography or gel permeation. So here column we are going to keep our gel column. Okay, so here this column port will be there. No, so here we are going to keep our gel filtration column. Okay, so this is the schematic diagram of our systems. So this column we are going to keep our gel. So here separation of compounds will take place based upon their molecular size. So detector, they will detect the signal. Finally the detected signal will be recorded in the system. Okay, now how to do the separation procedure. So first step, preparation of gel filtration column. Okay, so how to prepare? Take glass or stainless steel made column, then swelling of gel. I told now two methods we have. One is slurry, you are going to prepare heat at 100 degrees centigrade water bath. That one also you can follow. Directly you mix your dry powder of gel with a solvent. It will swell, isn't it? So that swelling gel you add inside the column. After that, packing. Packing is nothing but the way how you are filling inside. That is called as packing. After packing, what we have to do? You have to saturate with mobile phase. Again you add some amount of mobile phase. Then that some amount of mobile phase what you added, it will go and occupy the empty spaces. Okay, it will go and occupy the empty space which is there in between your gel. So that empty space volume is called as void volume. So this empty space which is occupied by mobile phase, that volume is called as void volume. Okay, first step over, preparation of column. Second one is load the sample. What I told? Sample you take, directly should not add, you dissolve in mobile phase, then you add on the surface of your column. After adding of sample, what will happen? Your sample is having different type of particles, no? Big molecular size particles, small size particles. Okay, so like that your sample is having. As I told, after adding your sample, third step will take place, elution. How elution will take place? Small size particle, they will diffuse into your gel. It will take long time for elution. But big size particles are there, no? Big size particle, they will escape through the wide space. That's why big size particles are going to elute first. Small size particles are going to elute later. Okay, so like this separation is going to happen. That is separation procedure. Moving to next slide. Advantages and disadvantages of gel chromatography. So advantages, it will take short time for analysis. I mean fastly we can do the analysis. Then separation is well defined. Okay, so separation means what? Between two peaks gap. So separation will be well defined. Okay, then narrow bands and good sensitive. So very sharp bands we will get, sensitivity also very good. Then no sample loss, here sample loss won't happen. Then compare with other chromatography technique, here less amount of mobile phase itself sufficient. Then as I told, flow rate we can control. Okay, these are advantages. Then disadvantages, limited number of peaks only we can resolve at a short time scale. I mean, within a small time you can't able to resolve large peaks, only limited number of peaks, few amount of peaks only we can resolve in a limited time. Then compulsory you have to do the filtration in case of gel permission chromatography. Why? If your mobile phase is having any dust particle or any other particulate matter, it will block or it will interfere with your column, it will spoil your detector also. Okay, so to avoid the dust or any interfering particles, so we have to go for filtration. So that is one disadvantage. Okay, then as I told, large size molecular mass compounds we can separate, isn't it? So but in case of other chromatography, it is difficult. So here also we can separate, but it will take some time. Sometime we can achieve very broader peaks also. We can get very broad space. That is one disadvantage. Then advantages, disadvantages are over. Moving to the next slide. Okay, applications of gel permeation chromatography. So before entering into the application part, what are the factors are going to affect gel permeation chromatography? I will explain. So factors affecting gel permeation chromatography. The first factor which is going to affect is sample volume. Sample volume. I mean, we have column. Inside the column you are filling your gel along with your mobile phase. Then you are taking sample. Okay, then you are dissolving in mobile phase. This one you are pouring on the surface of your column. Now the sample you are taking some ml, no, that volume will affect your gel chromatography, sample volume. Then the ratio of sample volume divided by column volume. Okay, so this column will be there, no? So this column volume plus sample volume, this ratio also will affect your chromatography. Then third one, the flow rate of mobile phase. So we are adding mobile phase, no, that mobile phase flow rate. Okay, flow rate of mobile phase, it is the third factor which is going to affect. Then coming to the fourth factor, column dimension. I mean, length plus diameter, length and diameter of your column will affect. Then fifth one, particle size. Particle size of column will affect. Okay, so then packing density. Packing density, I mean, how you are filling the pack. I mean, inside the column, if more density you are filling the column or loosely. Okay, so in a loose manner you are filling the column, so that is density, packing density. Either in a loose manner or in a free manner you packed your column. Okay, that one also will affect. Then seventh parameter, pore size. So here we seen particle size, here pore size. I mean, I told you, no, your gel is having pore, small particle will pass through the pore, that's why they are taking long time. This pore size is the next factor. Then eighth one, viscosity of your sample. You are loading your sample, no, that sample viscosity. So these are the 8 factors which are going to affect your gel permeation chromatography. So first one is sample volume, second one the ratio between sample volume and column volume, then flow rate of your mobile phase, length and diameter of your column what you are preferring, then particle size, then packing density, then pore size, then viscosity of your sample, it is going to affect your column. Now I am moving to the applications of gel permeation chromatography. The first application of gel permeation chromatography is protein fractionation. Okay, as I told, we are going to separate proteins based upon their molecular size. Okay, big molecular size containing proteins, small molecular size containing proteins, DNA fragments, peptides, nucleotides, everything we can separate by using gel permeation chromatography. So that is first application. So protein fractionation, under this small particle size, largest particle size we can separate. Then polynucleotides we can separate. Then DNA fragments also we can separate. Then some peptides we can separate. Okay, so these things and all we can separate by using gel permeation chromatography. Second application is purification of proteins. As I told, purification, if your protein is having any contaminant matter or particulate matter or dust, compulsory we have to purify it. So for the purification also we will use gel permeation chromatography or gel chromatography. Then we can determine the approximate molecular weight. Okay, so approximate molecular weight of your compound we can determine. Then we can separate sugars, we can separate proteins, we can separate peptides, we can separate rubbers and other compounds based on their size. This point you should not forget. In case of gel chromatography or size exclusion chromatography or gel permeation chromatography, the separation is based on molecular size or molecular weight. Okay, then we can determine the quaternary structure of purified proteins. Okay, so we can determine the quaternary structure of purified proteins also. Other than this, what we can do? Purification of macromolecules we can do. Okay, next application, purification of macromolecules like proteins, enzymes, amino acids, then polysaccharides. Proteins, enzymes, amino acids, polysaccharide. So this macromolecule purification we can do. Then next application, desalting of proteins. So desalting of proteins also we can do by using gel permeation chromatography. So these are the applications of gel permeation chromatography. So what I am going to conclude is, if you want to separate proteins, polypeptides, DNA fragments like monoclonal antibodies, the best choice is we can go with the gel filtration chromatography. At the same time, if you want to purify proteins, then this polysaccharides, proteins, enzymes, amino acids, then polynucleotides, DNA fragments, for this purification also we can go with gel permeation chromatography. So here the basic principle of separation is, we can separate our molecules or components based on their molecular size or molecular weight. Because here we are taking column, that column is made up of either with glass or stainless steel. Inside the column we are filling our gel. Why we are filling gel? Because gel permeation or gel chromatography we are using. That's why porous material or porous matrix type of gel we have to fill. Remember, the porous matrix or material, normally the size what we are going to use is particle size 50 to 3000 micron angstroms. 50 to 3000 angstroms we are going to use, because most of the analyte molecules they are available in that range. That is the reason we are using 50 to 3000 angstroms. After filling this gel inside your column, you have to saturate with mobile phase. Okay, if you are doing saturation, the empty space which is existed in between your stationary phase, will be filled with your mobile phase. For that purpose, we are doing the saturation. Okay, so that empty space volume is called as void volume. Now you have to pour your sample by dissolving in a mobile phase on the surface of your column. After pouring your sample on the surface of column, now separation will happen based upon their molecular size. Large particles, they can't able to pass through the pores which is there in your gel. That's why they will escape through the space or void volume which is existed in between your stationary phase. That's why large particles are going to elute very fast. First we can collect the large particle fraction. But small particles, they will pass through the pores which is existed in stationary phase or your gel. Okay, so because of the diffusion or transfusion of that small particles in your gel, it will take some time. That's why long time will be taken for the separation of small size particles. Like this separation will happen. Then theory, we seen factors which are going to affect like sample volume, ratio of your sample and column volume, flow rate, column dimension, particle size, packing density, viscosity of sample, pore size of your particle, everything these are going to affect. So we have to control these things also. Then if you are coming to the instrumentation, first you have to select a column, then suitable gel you select, then suitable solvent or mobile phase you select, then you mix this stationary phase and your mobile phase, you pack inside the column. After packing, you saturate it, then you go for elution technique. So coming to the application, we can separate proteins, purification of proteins, molecular weight determination we can do, sugar, peptides, rubbers, other polymers we can separate. We can determine the structure of purified proteins. Okay, then approximate molecular weight we can determine, desalting of protein we can do, purification of macromolecules like enzymes, amino acids, polysaccharides also we can do. So these are the applications of gas gel permeation chromatography or gel chromatography.